And before she got into that office, I had a lot of respect for her. I thought she was a good listener. But what I've realized is that she lost the capacity to listen and to discern issues that get to our office. We want service from you. We don't want display of lagis, display of arrogance, and display of bad manners emanating from an office of a minister. That's why I pray for President William Ruto. You will make the name of the Kalenjin a bad name to mention anywhere. That everything was fake when a Kalenjin was in power.
Maybe we pray about corruption and fake fertilizer in the country.
Don't pray for that. I think we need to beat up those guys. I'm not violent, but you see.
What a privilege, what an honor to have you on Business Glide, your go-to point on matters, public policy analysis, business and economics at large, with yours truly, resident economist here, son of the soil, Richard Mwanjam. And today I have your favorite public policy analyst and also a governance expert, former Minister Kipruto Arap Kirwa, to help me dissect into the day's conversation, talking matters, the place of merit in public service and the penetration of impunity in the same. That is the day's conversation, but first things first, Kipruto Arap Kirwa, welcome on board.
Thank you, it's my pleasure all the time to be here. Yes.
Where did you get this trademark hat of yours?
Well, I like it because when the sun is so hot like now, it assists to cover the area where hair has just disappeared.
You are taking a radical departure from donning Kaunda suits. What happened?
Have I taken any radical departure?
You told me you are going to stop donning Kaunda suits for reason best known to you.
No. At times it is more relaxing when it's hot. It's more relaxing to wear a Kaunda suit. And when you don't have very serious formal engagement. Because it is easy to deal with it. And it also gives you some freedom, some latitude of freedom. But I'm also going to be assisting some people I've been seeing in town with Kaunda suits that look funny colors. Because Kaunda suit is supposed to be modest, it's supposed to be somber. But when you have flashy colors, it ceases to be the original Kaunda suit of Mwalimu Nyerere or Kaunda himself. Yeah, you know, Kaunda suit is a product of what the late president of Zambia used to like. The late Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. So it became a suit. Nyerere's one did not have the collar. And subsequently, at one time, it became so popular in Kenya that Nyerere told Kaunda, why don't you claim some royalty from Kenyans? Because they are donning your suits and they are promoting using your name. It was, of course, one of the light moments that Nyerere used to enjoy about Kenya. Yeah.
So people out here busy trying to steal your thunder?
Well, they are trying, but of course, I will not show them my tailor.
Talking of, okay, let's talk a little bit matters to do with the happiness index of the country. And alarming report has come forth that Kenya's happiness ranking drops for the first time in 5 years. According to the World Happiness Report of 2024, the country now stands at position 114 out of 143 surveyed nation for the first time in five years.
Yeah.
Our happiness index ranking low. What do you think informs this? The state of the economy or what?
It's informed by a number of factors. As I've said before, the challenge in Africa and why Africans get annoyed with the leadership is that when people get into positions of leadership, they become arrogant. They assume those who elected them are not as intelligent as they are. Number two, their appetite for what does not belong to them gets into excessive mode, such that they become an elite that is enjoying at the expense of the public kitty. Number three, and most important, they become unresponsive to the challenges of the day because they are shielded by the lagis of various offices and they do not see what the ordinary people are seeing. These are some of the issues that I feel the current regime for the last 1.5 years has been spending almost making faces at the public. Even when people complain about genuine issues, they say, no, it is not genuine. Remember, there was the poisoned sugar. There was also the edible oil that was not fit for human consumption. There is the issue of fake fertilizer. The issue of fake seeds. There is the issue of G2G.
Government oil deal?
Yeah, oil deal, which I'm calling it gangster to gangster. And many other fake products that are getting into the market. Apart from fake certificates that some of the leaders have, and we know they did not go to the schools they claim to have gone. So all these things, they conspire to make Kenyans feel a bit hopeless. And what worries me is not even the current leadership. The moment we lower our standards, such that they say certificate from Kenya, you must cross-check, that is the lowest position that any Kenyan can ascribe to. My take is that let us raise our standards. And we are not raising it because we do not like the current regime. We are raising it because it's always good manners to do the right thing. It is always better not to be suspected of real or imagined crimes. Yeah.
It makes sense. And talking matters to do with Kenyans expressing their grievances, but they are shot down, they are dead on arrival, sort of silencing their messengers and the message in there. We are sort of seeing a health crisis in the country, doctors on strike, issuing strike notices and also downing their tools. But if you look at the conduct of CS Nakhumicha, the health CS, and how he has responded to the doctors' plea this farm, you are minister at some point of an equally critical sector that was agriculture. How do you sort of credit the conduct of CS this far when it comes to responding to the health concerns in this country?
CS Susan Nakhumicha is somebody I know very well. And before she got into that office, I had a lot of respect for her. I thought she was a good listener. But what I've realized is that she lost the capacity to listen and to discern issues that get to her office. Because in leadership, you must have the capacity to listen, even to the stories that you don't like. And upon getting that information, process it before you make public pronouncement. I could say the same thing in the street, but because I'm a commoner, nobody will take me seriously. But to be said from the office of the minister that such a statement does not measure to the respect that office is given. She should realize she's occupying public space. And in public space, you must expect the public to be critical of your character. And anything less than that, then you have a position that you do not deserve.
Very well.
It is unfortunate, and I'm worried for her, and also worried for the country, because leaders making such careless statements lowers the reputation of the office of the minister.
When a CS for health, and in this case Nakhumicha, comes forth and says some of the medical personnel are envious of her position, and even part of them of those seeking internship should be willing to do that on voluntary, because there are many others who want that chance for free. Do you consider that to be management by intimidation and threats from a CS?
Well, I think it is very clear that she never took time to think about that. You know, when you are in a position of leadership, you are already the envy of many. And you do not have to tell us unless you feel inadequate holding that particular office. Don't remind us, because if you are holding an office that you know you're doing your job, don't remind us that anybody is envious of you, because we want service from you. We don't want display of lagis, display of arrogance, and display of bad manners emanating from an office of a minister. We do expect something better from her, and it is better. It's high time she's told to check on the board. How many ministers have gone through that office since 1963? How many are likely to come? Then she can also understand she's there for the time being.
She's a passing cloud.
She's going to, you know, she has to exit, because, you know, once you are in a queue, you cannot stop there, because there are many other people queuing to take over from her.
Perpetual succession. Perpetual
succession, and even some of the people may be her own friends. Remember, President Moi was very good. He could easily replace you with your closest of friends to the extent that you suspect
Foul play.
By your own friend. Or he picks somebody that is your adversary, and he promotes him and he lowers you. And that was the game plan that President Moi was able to perfect. So Susan Nakhumicha should realize the time for reckoning is now.
Does that then speak to the danger of political rewards in terms of critical state appointments?
Well, my position has been loyalty is good, but competence is better and must be above loyalty. Yes, you don't get somebody from the street that you do not know, but at times measure with blindfolded the issues of competence, so that you may not like somebody, you may not like somebody 100%, but if he's competent, give him the job and allow him to play the role. Because at times you can have very competent people, but you do not give them space to operate. At times you have very incompetent people, you give them space, they mess. And I suspect one of the two may obtain for our good CS, Susan Nakhumicha.
Very well. Moving on swiftly, I mean, right to expression is a fruit of democracy, a low-hanging fruit that Kenyans should be enjoying to the fullest level possible. But if you look at our trade union movement in Kenya, and in this particular context, the KMPDU and other unions under the health fraternity, how they've been silenced, and sort of their grievances were just dead on arrival. The response that was given on them was just take this or leave it. Does that then mean that sort of President Ruto promised us independence, utmost freedom, but do you think that we are doing the complete opposite, silencing doctors who are just airing their pleas?
Well, I think this regime was very good in campaigning. They were very good in making promises. They were very good in painting pictures of rosy future. But what they did not take into consideration is that all these promises will need a bit of pain for somebody to sit down, formulate effective policy, and also implementation process and procedure. That seems to be lacking. And when you look at the case of doctors, nobody engaged them meaningfully. If they were engaged from the beginning, perhaps some of the strikes would have been forestalled. But it was like, okay, either because the CS was not competent or needed to be given okay from an office, and that okay never arrived in good time. Or she herself never felt that was a serious crisis that needed the attention of the minister. So in short, this regime does not seem to understand that they wanted a job, they were given the opportunity to run the show, but they don't seem ready to do anything else other than telling us we are in office, we won, fair and square, I'm the minister, you are envious of me, I'm so and so, I won the election. Winning and doing the job are two different stories. Some people may squeak through and do a better job and get majority in the next election. Or they do nothing, but they can still win, or they'll be sent home packing. These are some of the issues that at the end of the day, we must also be serious about the fact that Kenyans need to see seriousness from the office of a leader.
You served as a minister for a critical docket, that is agriculture. But let me understand, how critical is it the need for one to harness the potential of public mood to inform the policy formulation and policy communication for one as a minister and as a government?
Well, it takes a bit of seriousness. It takes a bit of leadership in the sense that you must all the time take the opinion from the public as honest grievances informed by certain challenging circumstances. Once you appreciate that, then you'll be able to use the technical staff that you have once you get complaints coming to the ministry to process and to see that you give answers that are doable. The people are not unkind. The moment you give them answers that they feel You've tried your best. They will still be patient with you. And all the time engage the public. All the time also engage the officers. Because in most cases, when you are in government, you have a chance to get information from the public through even the officers in the ministry. Like I used to have more than 100 DAOs from various districts that had been formed. And when you invite them to a common meeting and you ask them what are the issues arising from the ground. I remember one day I did that, and I told them, don't give me answers verbally. Write down what are the two issues that are affecting us and how do you want to resolve them. I got all that information. We sat down with my team. We created permutations on how matrix of implementation, and that is how we ran the show in the ministry. And all the time, take the public to be people who are frustrated. Even at times when they are annoyed with you, it's not because they want to get annoyed with you. They don't know the answers. So they are coming to you because they expect answers. So if you do not know any answers, then that's a very dangerous situation. And you don't have to have answers for all the questions. Some of the questions, pick them, process, and at the right time give them the answers.
Very well. Do you then think that the one-man show or one-woman show syndrome is what sort of has informed the condescending tone of many state officers, be it ministers, be it heads of critical departments in the country this far?
Yes, I think this Kenya Kwanza regime has failed to use what we call teamwork. Teamwork will assist to use many hands and put all the hands on the deck for purposes of resolving a problem. And once you do that, every problem becomes lighter. They seem to be waiting for the top management or the top leadership to give them answers on how to go about issues. And it doesn't work that way. Some of the answers are clearly within the ground, and those in the ground, like for example Trans Nzoia or Tana River, will have the answers. And if you engage with them, they will give you answers that if you were to tell the public of Tana River, they will know that you understand their problem.
Very well. Advancing this conversation further on matters the place of merit in public service, very recently we saw the Honorable Court of Kenya nullify the recruitment of over 1,000 Kenya revenue assistants on the basis that a majority of them came from two ethnic backgrounds. And let me ask you, do you think the problem that we are seeing today of extreme impunity in public service is informed by this poison chalice, matters to do with tribalism taking center stage and not one's merit?
Well, there is a lot in Kenya that is happening. And I do not understand. Even when I was in the ministry, I would assist somebody, perhaps a relative, if I had a chance. But at times it's always good to understand the diversity of this country. If you, let's say, you need about 100 people in a certain position in government, ask yourself, how many communities do you have in Kenya? You know there are 40-something. As much as possible, there is also the question of population. You say, okay, if you are getting from community A, which forms about 17% of the population, then, and there are 100 people, then you can get between 15 and 18. If you are getting from community, then the rest of Kenya also must get something. Even the Kega, whose numbers are almost are not clearly known, they must also get somebody, because this country belongs to all of us. And each one of us has an input. That's why I've told you, even as we are discussing, this is part of nation building. And nation building entails sensitivity from the leadership. We must be sensitive. Don't talk that we are not tribal. Demonstrate to us that what you are doing, you are not being tribal, you are not being sectional, you are not being politically right or wrong. You don't get somebody that, okay, this one was not part of the Kenya Kwanza. Because Kenyans don't belong to political parties in terms of their faith. Kenyans have faith in their own country. And these parties come and go. We started with KANU and KADU 1958. Now KANU is struggling to survive. KADU disappeared from the books. Yeah.
Very well. The current state of the economy has sort of profiled some as children of a lesser god because of their low purchasing power, and sort of they are shackled under shackles of poverty and many other things. What danger then lies in having this trend gone? You are a seasoned leader, you are senior citizen, and you've seen all these things for quite a number of decades this far. Could this sort of inform a revolution in the near future? Should we not change that?
Well, I fear the word revolution. I fear the word revolution in the sense that at times revolution can sweep the good and the bad down the drain. Unless revolution is managed in a way that there is a clear leader. Like there's a revolution of Tanzania in 1964, where Afro-Shirazi Party and TANU moved into CCM. And from there, they were able to form not so monolithic, but almost a tripartite kind of arrangement, where there is a government of Zanzibar, the government of Tanzania, and in between certain services were dedicated to the government of Tanzania, and certain services were retained by the government of Zanzibar. In that way, you're able to say you are revolutionizing the mind, but you are not causing revolution through destruction of property and life. So the revolution that I would expect in Kenya is for Kenyans to take time to interrogate issues and also do an audit of the leaders that will offer themselves for the next election, such that we do not regret immediately after elections that yes, we seem to have elected the wrong people. You've been witnessing all over when the president goes anywhere, you realize the public, there is a bit of disquiet. And even if they are not heckling the president, they're heckling leaders who are elected together with the president, which means there is a bit of disquiet on the ground. There are people who are not happy with the status quo, but they do not know how to air their grievances. And therefore, they are venting their frustrations through heckling some leaders whom they believe would have made a change in their lives. So that revolution should be guided, because unguided revolution can destroy a nation.
Very well.
Yeah.
And very lastly, the countless reported cases of extreme impunity in public service this far seem to be pointing to the direction that maybe many of us get into public service for nothing else but primitive accumulation of wealth. How true or wrong could I be?
Well, I may not have a clear audit of that statement, but what I know is that at times in public domain, you are given a position just because you seem to be loyal to a cause, you seem to be loyal to a certain inclination, including accumulation of wealth without consideration on the process that you've used. Because some of the people in public service today, serving in various positions, are people who are seen or are thought to have financed the campaign for Kenya Kwanza, and therefore they are being rewarded for what they spend in the campaign, either to recoup or to add more so that they have money for the next campaign and also the balance for themselves. That worries me because we are not rewarding merit. Yes, you can campaign for me. I can give you support to make money, but in a decent way. Because government is the biggest business entity in any country. There is no company in Kenya that is bigger, has a bigger budget than the government of the republic. But then you can do genuine business. You can supply in competition with other Kenyans. But if, let's say, you had a problem with a certain parastatal, and immediately I take over, I give you to chair that particular parastatal, nothing can be said other than impunity. Yep.
Very well. So then, how can we sort of put an end to this case of extreme impunity? Can we do that by, say, making corruption so expensive in public service that no one would dare to go on such grounds?
Well, there is those responsible for making that possible are those in power today. And because I'm not in power today, what I would tell Kenyans is to be vigilant and occupy this space because this is their country. Don't accept me to get into position of leadership because I've given you money. What I've known for the short period that I've served in public sector is that the worst leader is a leader who thinks about his business before he thinks about the business of the nation. I'm not saying don't elect businessmen, but be careful. Any person that you've seen that has used his office in the past to the advantage of personal interest cannot stop just because he has risen higher or he has retained that position longer than the rest.
Yep. Rightly put. And that point by former Minister Kipruto Arap Kirwa takes us to the wrap of this conversation today, talking matters, the place of merit in public service, and also the issue of impunity penetrating public service, and how we can turn around the situation so that we have a better Kenya, and doing those strides today, if not yesterday. Time now for Fan of the Week. It is none other than Madam Felista Njuguna, watching us from Amagoro County Park in Trans Nzoia. We thank you so much for always tuning into our conversations, and keep these conversations going on beyond here. I'm at Mwenja Richard across all social media platforms. Let us know your feedback on the subject of the day, and also conversations that you'd wish us to roll out in the near future. Until we meet next, do enjoy the rest of your day. Kipruto Arap Kirwa, I hope that you'll have a happy Easter.
It's always my pleasure, and I pray that Kenyans, wherever you're going, be careful on the roads. Don't drink and drive. Please, we need your life, because this country needs each and every one of us to make a contribution. We love it, and I have hope that Kenya is going to be better in future.
Have you reserved for us a goat from your many farms around around the country? Easter goat per se.
If you avail yourselves, I'm generous. I'm only limited by capacity.
Sure, you are generous.
Yeah, limited by capacity.
Limited by capacity.
Yeah.
Asante sana. We appreciate your presence here.
Yes.
And your commitment to the channel.
Thank you.
And we hope that you'll continue aging gracefully.
Well, I will try.
You'll try.
Yes.
We pray for you.
Thank you. Prayers are needed. And also pray for the president.
But we have a first lady who's praying for the country, for the nation.
But not praying for our children to go to Haiti. That's dangerous. I will tell Rachel that. Please, our children, let them remain here. The billions of dollars that you want for this country, we don't need money that is soiled with blood. Yep.
Maybe we pray about corruption and fake fertilizer in the country.
Don't pray for that. I think we need to beat up those guys. I'm not violent, but you see.
Why are you combative today?
I'm combative about that because you know, fake fertilizer means what? It means you are destroying food security. You are destroying the future of Kenya. When you are giving us edible oil that is poisoned, you are destroying our people, because I'm told that edible oil was not destroyed. It ended up in some of the institutions within the country.
When KEBS is in the country?
Yeah. Even the lady Esther Ngari said she realizes the fertilizer is fake. And I don't know. And the fertilizer goes through National Cereals and Produce Board, another government institution. It worries me, Richard. It worries me, because that's why I pray for President William Ruto. You will make the name of the Kalenjin a bad name to mention anywhere. That everything was fake when a Kalenjin was in power.
Would you have done different if you were the agriculture minister of the day? Would you have allowed that to happen? Fake fertilizer?
No way.
Would you have resigned from the job?
It would not have gotten into the stores. I would not have allowed that.
Even with the cartels in place?
Cartels are not bigger than ministers. When you hear ministers saying I'm frustrated by cartels, it's part of the cartel system.
This conversation can never stop, and for that reason I have to end it at here. We shall roll out that conversation in the near future, talking matters, substandard goods in the market, issues to do with compliance issues, and many others in our subsequent editions. Until then, do enjoy the rest of your day.